He immediately tries to go for this entrance. The rear. He immediately tries to go for this. Hi everyone, it's Ada here and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. So, for today's video, I wanted to do a story time. Now, you can probably hear it a little bit in my voice, but I am on like the last few days of like a mild sickness that I've had, like just like a sore throat, like a cold that I've had over the past week. And I don't have a sore throat anymore, and I only really cough when I talk, and my voice is still kind of gone. It still kind of sounds weird. So you're probably like, Ada, why are you filming a video right now when you're like kind of sick? The answer to that is I have an assignment for my anime class due at midnight tonight, and I need to be on camera for it. And I also have to sing, so, you know, that's just great. That's just amazing. Basically, I thought I would kill two birds with one stone today and film a video while I do my makeup for my anime assignment. Get both done today, and hopefully my cough won't act up too much and my voice will sound okay. Today's video is going to be a story time, which I have not done a story time in I think over a year now, and it's going to be another hookup story time because we all love these. I love doing these, and I just need to share this story. I was thinking earlier this week when I was like wallowing in my sickness, and I was like, I need to tell this story. So once I feel like good enough to like get in front of a camera, do my makeup and stuff, and I mean, not that I want to put on makeup today, it's more that I have to, but I'm still gonna film this video because I want to tell this story. This video is going to be the time I hooked up with a professional athlete. This is actually a pretty recent story, so I'm going to try to keep it very vague while still giving you all the juicy details. My last story time from April last year was about my $10,000 hookup story, and you all seem to really like that, so let's do another hookup story. I'm excited. I hope this guy doesn't see it, but if he does, hey. I had an interesting experience with you, so I'm going to start my makeup, and I say we just jump right into this interesting story. So this story takes us back maybe like 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? I don't even remember. I sort of tried to like block this situation out of my memory, but it was not that long ago. Like basically it was maybe 3 weeks ago at the latest. Now, I've been using Hinge for maybe a little over a year now, and obviously I didn't have it when I was dating my ex-boyfriend, but I'm a single woman now, so I was like, you know, let's see who's out there, let's see who's on Hinge, because I don't know, I really want to meet someone naturally, but I don't know if that's gonna happen, and I don't feel like waiting for it to happen, so obviously I'm gonna use dating apps, and Hinge is the only one I feel comfortable using. So I've been talking to a few guys. I've gone on one date since breaking up, and you know, that was fun and all, but that didn't end up working out. The day this all started was just like any other day. I didn't think anything special was gonna happen. You know, scrolling on Hinge, maybe liking a few guys if I think they're cute, whatnot, you know, the typical thing you do on dating apps. But then I go on Instagram and I get a follow from someone who I don't know, which I have a public profile, so that's not like the strangest thing in the world. The really strange thing was that he was verified, and I was like, this is really weird. And I was actually with my ex at the time because we're still friends, and I was like, look at this, like, what is this? And he was like, oh my gosh, he's verified, like, whoa, cool, blah, blah, blah. And we sort of looked through his profile, and he's like pretty attractive. I had no idea who he was, but he was good looking, let me say that. I don't know if I want to reveal what sport he plays, but maybe I will. His Instagram obviously had a lot to do with his like sports career, and he's a professional football player. I'll let you decide if that's American football or British football. I'm not gonna clarify, but he's a professional football player, and his pictures were really nice, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, why is this guy following me? I was kind of taken aback. I was like, first off, how did he find me? And second off, why is he following me? And eventually I like let it go. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but I get random people following me all the time because I have a public profile, my TikTok, my YouTube, stuff like that. This isn't like the strangest thing in the world. So later that day, probably before bed, I'm doing like my nightly Hinge check, you know, as one girl does. And I see that I have a like, and I was like, let's see who it is. I always get so excited when I have a like because, you know, oftentimes it's someone that I haven't seen on my, you know, Hinge myself, like, you know, scrolling and liking people. And it turns out it was this guy, and let's call him Bob. I don't know why, that's the name that came to me. So Bob had liked me, and I was like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense as to how you know, he knows me. I still didn't really understand how he found my Instagram since it's not on my Hinge bio and my Hinge only has my first name, but I didn't really think about that. I liked him back, and then eventually he messaged me and he was like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty, blah blah blah, you know, like the typical opener that most guys do. And I was like, oh my god, thank you. And we talked a little bit on Hinge, and then eventually he was like, oh yeah, I just want to like say I'm sorry if I weirded you out by like following in on Instagram, but I really wanted to shoot my shot with you and I didn't know if you were gonna respond on here. And you know, some people might find that creepy. I found it kind of cute. Maybe I should have found it creepy at, like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, how the story ends. But I was like, oh my gosh, no, like, no worries. I thought that was pretty endearing. Like, you're a pretty good detective, like, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I was just really saying shit. I was blowing air into his asshole. Or what's the saying? I don't know. That might be it. And eventually we moved the conversation from Hinge back to Instagram, where he followed me. I didn't follow him back until a while. He had to bring it up he was like, oh my god, you didn't follow me back. You know, whining and crying, this 23-year-old man. And eventually I followed him back. So yeah, we moved our conversation from Hinge to Instagram. We honestly didn't talk for that long on Hinge. It was maybe like an hour's worth of messages before he was like, would you rather talk on here or on Instagram? And I'm like, well, I checked Instagram more, so let's move to there. And we talked on Instagram for maybe like a good week and a half before, you know, agreeing to meet or anything. I'm a very like anxious person, so, you know, it took about a week and a half for me to like psych myself up to like meet or anything. And I also don't do hookups. I had a hookup phase when I was 17 that I don't like to talk about ever. It's probably the one part of my life that I regret. And then since then I have not hooked up until this story. Our conversations are pretty normal, nothing out of the blue, like just about my schooling and my life, and then his job and his life, because he recently moved to my city because he switched teams, and he was originally on the other side of the country until like a few months ago, and I thought that was pretty cool. But eventually, you know, there's flirting like daily here and there, like nothing too crazy. Like it's more of like the subtle flirt, which I love. I love a good subtle flirt. I am not the type of person. I cannot do like the really out there flirting. I will laugh in your face, and I cannot take it seriously. We were talking about Mario Kart, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna beat you, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh my gosh, you're like really confident, blah blah blah. You know, I don't know. Like the tone that I was getting was like a little bit of subtle flirting. So after like a week and a half of talking, he eventually asks if I want to hang out, and I was like, yeah, of course, you know, thinking that he was, you know, talking to me for more than just to hook up. I really am such a naive girl, a naive biatch, because like what professional sports player, I'm stereotyping hard here, but what professional sports player is not looking for just a hookup? Like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, oh my god, I'd love to, you know, hang out, blah blah blah. And after like an hour of sending that message, he responds back and he's like, okay, like, what's your address? I'm coming over. And I was like, what the fuck? No, you're not. I didn't say that, but in my mind I was like, he has some audacity to come here and like invite himself over to my house when I haven't even met the guy. Spoiler alert, he eventually does come over to my house for our first meeting. I don't know why. I felt more comfortable afterwards. Well, I do know why, but I'll tell you, we'll get there. So he's like, okay, what's your address? I'm coming over. And I was like, can we meet somewhere in public first? Like, I am not comfortable with you coming over to my house, like first meeting right off the bat. And he texts back and he's like, oh, I'm looking for more of a riskier type hookup. And, you know, I kind of expected it at that point. And although I was a little disappointed, I was like, okay. Eventually I text him back and I'm like, listen, I am not the hookup kind of girl. I really enjoyed talking to you. If you want to meet somewhere public first and go on like a date or two and then, you know, start hanging out privately, I'm fine with that. But for a first time meeting, I am not comfortable with you coming over to my house. So after I say all that, he like doesn't respond at all. He like leaves me on red, and I was like, okay, you know what, fuck him. And that was the end of our like conversation. I thought we were never gonna talk again after that. We had like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 days in between that and our next conversation. So I really thought that like that was the end, and I was like, okay, you know, a little disappointing. I thought, you know, he was in it for a different reason, but, you know, it is what it is. Whatever. I moved on. I started swiping on Hinge again. After like 3 or 4 days, he messages me and he's just like, hey. And I don't know why I responded, but something told me I should Maybe it was my coochie. I don't know. I honestly think I was feeling pretty horny when I responded, so I was like, hey. And we started talking again, like nothing happened. I don't know why, but we do. And, you know, I really enjoyed talking to him, so, you know, I got pulled back in pretty quickly. He was, you know, seemed really respectful, and, you know, the conversations weren't anything crazy, but I liked having someone to talk to. You know, obviously I have my friends, but I liked having him to talk to. And I thought it was, you know, kind of cool. Maybe I was blinded a little bit by the fact that he was a professional athlete and he was verified on Instagram. Maybe just a little, but I really enjoyed talking to him and I thought he was a genuinely nice person. A few days after we started talking again, he texts me and he's like, hey, like, I really want to hang out. I really like you. I think you're really cute. Like, would you be willing to hang out? And I was like, yes. My one thing though is that I would like to meet in public first before we go anywhere private. And he was like, okay. And then randomly he sends me like this huge long paragraph that I thought was the most romantic thing ever. Ada, raise your standards, girl. And he was like, oh my gosh, like I just want to clarify. I know I said I wanted a riskier type of hookup, but that doesn't mean I don't like hanging out with you or getting to know you. Like I want to play Mario Kart with you. I want to watch anime with you. That was a fucking lie. That was a fucking lie. And, you know, he really grabbed me back in with that long ass paragraph that he sent me, and I was like, guys, oh my god, like, I immediately sent a voice note to my friends and I was like, guys, oh my god, like, he texted me and, you know, he's not just in this for like a riskier type of hookup. He actually wants to hang out and get to know me. Like, oh my god, I was so giddy. Girl, please stop thinking with your coochie, please. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing to look back on. Girl, what were you doing? So yeah, after he sends me that, I am like, oh my gosh, okay, like, I'm sorry, I like misunderstood what you said before. And he was like, no, like obviously I said I was looking for a riskier type hookup. Why would you think otherwise? We start talking, and then like the next night we planned to meet up. This man had a hot tub and a pool in his hotel that he was staying in, and I was like, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, if you want to come over to either of our places, I should come over there because we can use the hot tub, you know, get a little steamy, you know, it'll be a little sexual tension. I thought it was a great idea. He was like, oh, I'm staying with a roommate. Like, no, I'm sorry, that won't work. Like, can I not come over to your place? Eventually I gave in. Girl, he got exactly what he wanted. Are you this stupid? Okay, you know what, come over, whatever, why not? I was like, you know what, I haven't tried to hook up since I was 17, 18 years old. I am now 20, almost 21. Let me try this. And so he gets an Uber from like the other side of town and eventually comes over, and this is where the story gets real juicy. Let me tell you, real juicy. Now, before I start this part of the story, let me preface by saying I told him I was trans because I knew that he was coming over. I'm not that stupid, I'm not that naive. I knew, you know, something frisky was gonna go down. Like, I didn't know what and how far we were gonna get, but I knew something frisky was gonna go down. So I told him I was trans, like I do any guy I am going to potentially hook up with sexually, or even like before like a romantic date. I try my best to tell them. And I told him, and I sent him like a long paragraph about it. Something that really weirded me out was that he just liked the message. He didn't even comment on it or anything. And usually, like, even if guys aren't bothered by it, and a lot of guys that I talk to aren't like bothered by the fact that I'm trans or anything, but most guys will at least comment on it and acknowledge the fact that I told them and be like, oh, like, that's fine, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He literally just liked my message, and never brought up the fact again. So I thought that was kind of weird, but also I didn't look too far into it. I was like, okay, like, he must not be bothered by it. Clearly he wasn't bothered by it, so let me tell you that. So eventually, after like an hour of him in his Uber texting me he's on his way, he finally gets here. I spent like the hour waiting, like literally shitting my pants, texting my friends like, oh my god guys, he's almost here, blah blah blah. And they're like, girl, it'll be fine, whatever. But I go inside and I greet him and I like nervously say hi. I was in like this really cute outfit. I think I was in like, what was I wearing? I don't remember what I was wearing, but I remember it being cute. I have like a picture or a video somewhere of my outfit that I will insert right here. It was like something casual because we were literally just at my house. I was like, I don't need to get dressed up or anything. I was literally not in makeup, and usually I try to wear makeup for my first interaction with anyone, but in particular guys. And then, you know, as I get more comfortable, that's when I'll like, you know, let my disguise down, stop catfishing, blah blah blah, whatever guys want to say. He was at my house for maybe 2 hours, and I thought he was at my house for way longer because it felt like so much happened in the span of 2 hours. I could not believe it was 2 hours, but for the first hour-ish, he was like sitting on my bed right here and I was sitting in this chair, and we basically just talked about our lives a little bit more, and I was asking him how his day was. He had a meet and greet that day and I was like, how'd that go, blah blah blah. And then eventually we started talking about anime, and he was like, oh, like I don't really know anything about anime, like you pick one, let's start watching. And I was like, I guess a good first one to start off with is Attack on Titan, because he likes action. I didn't want to like start watching like a romance anime or anything. So we started watching Attack on Titan, and we were both on my bed at this point, and we started cuddling. Now, as much as this encounter goes wrong in the near future, the cuddling was really nice. He was like obviously big spoon, and he was like giving me like full body massages. He was constantly rubbing his hand over me. I was getting chills. Like the punani was going crazy, girl. The punani was going crazy. At one point I literally just closed my eyes and I was enjoying it, and he like looked over and he was like, are you even watching? And I was like, yeah, I'm watching. Eventually he was taking like a bunch of, what is it called? He was, I don't know, using his vape. He was sucking his vape a lot. He was taking a lot of hits of his vape. That's what it's called. And I like look over my shoulder and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a lot. What are you doing? And this is like the moment of sexual tension, like where like the sexual tension breaks, like it's too much to handle. And we eventually stare at each other for a little bit, and then he pulls me in and we start kissing. First off, bad kisser. I don't think I'm the greatest kisser, but he was not a good kisser by any means. The kisses were so dry. It like really was a turn off, but it was like the heat of the moment, so I just kept going with it. And we were kissing, I kid you not, for maybe 20 minutes. My jaw was so sore at the end. And then afterwards I suck his dick. My jaw was like on its last legs by the end of the night, by the time he left. But we were making out for like 20 minutes. And like, I was so afraid to pull away. But after like 10 minutes or so, I was like, okay, like, can I pull away now? And he like, you know, put my hand on his dick or whatnot, and he was playing with my like little tatas while we were making out. You know, that was nice. That was really nice. I kind of enjoyed the makeout for as bad of a kisser as he was. I enjoyed it. As I was saying, we made out for like 20 minutes, I think, and then eventually he was like, suck my dick. Will you suck my dick? And I was like, yeah, sure. Now, this man had a pretty big dick. It was kind of surprising, really intimidating, and kind of a turn off. I don't find like really big dicks like attractive. I find them really scary actually. So I started sucking his dick, and you know, I'm trying my best, whatever. He's, you know, like laying on my bed, and he's like, oh my god, like, babe, you're so hot. Oh my god, babe, like, oh, that's so fucking hot. That feels so fucking good. Like, at this point, I was sort of like clocked out. Like, maybe like, I don't know, halfway through my dick sucking session is when I like clocked out, and I was like, okay, whatever. And so I would like stare at him and whatnot, and I would like, you know, give him like the like sexy look or whatever, and he ate that shit up. Let me tell you, he ate that up. And he was like, oh my babe, you're so fucking hot. Oh my god. Like, oh my god, babe, that feels so good. Oh my god, that's so good, babe. But eventually he was like, okay, I wanna fuck you. I wanna fuck you. And I was like, okay, like, oh my god, fuck me, okay. And this is the part that will get you. This is the part that will get you. So, I'm gonna act this out. He was laying down like right here, and I was like this. I was like this, like, you know, do my thing. And then it was just like, I don't want to fuck you. So he gets behind me right here, and I'm like in doggy on all fours like this. I'm like this. He's like back there. He's still on the bed though. I'm just a little bit farther back because of the camera. And he, like, you know, puts a little bit of lube on it. And this is the part that shocked me, but everything came to fruition in this moment, and it made so much more sense. But he immediately tries to go for this entrance. The rear. He immediately tries to go for this, and I like flop down like this. So I'm like, no. What made you think that, like, that was what I wanted? I didn't say all that. I was thinking it, but I said no. Like, the punani's right here. That's what I said. And he like looks at me like dumbfounded, and he was like, oh, like, oh, okay. I hope you liked my reenactment, but I get back on all fours, and he like half-heartedly tries to put it in, but he immediately goes flaccid. And this was like the cherry on top of the cake as to like telling me what I needed to know, and like, you know, everything became so clear in that moment. He immediately started going flaccid as soon as he saw that I had a punani. Like, I was like sort of like looking over my shoulder when he originally like took my thong off, because I was wearing like a black Calvin Klein thong. He took my thong off, and he saw that I had punani, and there was a little slight moment of shock on his face. He like tried his best to hide it, but he sort of like came to ignore it and then tried to put it in the rear. And I was like, no, like there's another entrance that I would prefer you to use. And so he goes, oh, okay, like kind of. He sort of just stares at me and then says, okay. And then he like half-heartedly tries to put it in the punani, and he goes flaccid. He goes limp. Like literally it's like. And I could tell he's like starting to like panic a little. So he's like stroke me, and he starts making out with me again. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but okay, whatever. So I stroke him, nothing's working. He tries to stroke himself, nothing is working. This man is staying flaccid. He is out for the count, babe. He is donezo. And so eventually he just lays down again, and he just like jerks himself until he finishes. And I sort of just sit there, like I'm sitting like right here, and I sort of just like sit there and like look at him, like maybe try to like give him the sexy look, but I was so done at that point that I was like, okay. And like I maybe like touch his balls a little, and he like finishes. So he finishes, and that was that. He literally had to jerk himself to finish. It literally took him so long to jerk himself just to get hard again. It was so embarrassing for him. Like I didn't say anything because I'm a nice person, but now I'm saying everything to you guys. But yeah, Ben, it was embarrassing for Ben. Was that his name? Bob. His name was Bob. I already forgot. I haven't been using his name. So yeah, Bob finishes himself, as I've said, for like the 3rd time now. And he like quickly gets dressed, sits on my bed, and he starts watching like the 3rd episode of Attack on Titan. Because we started watching the 1st episode, and I could tell he wasn't really paying attention. He wasn't really interested. And we were maybe halfway done the 1st episode when we started making out. By the time we were done everything, it was maybe like the start of the 4th episode, and he like starts watching it. I'm like, bitch, I know you're not interested, like stop. And he eventually like pauses it. It was on my laptop, by the way, like don't touch my laptop. And he was like, oh, I'll have to start this at home. Yeah, I'll just start this at home. I was like, okay, whatever. And he like immediately orders his Uber afterwards. Like, babe, I know you want to get out of here because this is not what you were expecting. I don't know why. I don't know what, I mean, maybe I do know a little bit why. But clearly I was not what you were expecting. Clearly I did not have what you were expecting. But I just thought it was kind of rude that he was like ready to up and leave like right away after we were done. Like I literally just swallowed your load. Boy, the least you could do is like get me food. He was like, thanks, I had a good time. I was like, sure. I didn't say that, but I was like, yeah, good night. And then he leaves. And at that point, it was like 11:30 p.m. I think, and he got to my house at like 9. So he was only there for like 2.5 hours. It felt like he had been there for so much longer. I felt like we had done so much more in like a longer amount of time. But no, that's basically the story. That's basically where it ends. And then he had the audacity to text me like 2 hours after he left and be like, I had a really good time. Like, you know, thanks for having me over. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I, for some reason, texted him back and I was like, thanks, I had a good time too. And then he unfollowed me like a few days later, and I unfollowed him back, and yeah. I'm gonna go finish my makeup off camera, and then I'll come back and we'll discuss what happened and why it happened. Alrighty, the makeup is done. This is the finished look, just like a natural, you know, kind of look. Natural kind of look for my assignment. Basically, what I was trying to insinuate and say before, without saying it like out loud, is that this man is clearly a chaser, a tranny chaser. It really like hit me near the end of our hookup, especially like when he like pulled my thong off and he instantly got flaccid. This man, this is just my theory, but I mean, you guys can dispute it if you want, but this literally, like, I don't understand what else it could be. This man, I feel like, came here thinking I had a different body part down there than I did, and so like he would have to use the back door. But once he took off my thong, he realized that I didn't. He was shocked that I did not have the body part that he, you know, wanted me to have, and so he got flaccid. He, you know, got turned off, so he went limp and then had to finish himself off. And I think he was, you know, a little bit embarrassed, a little bit shocked. And I was texting my friends afterwards, and I was like, the only thing that made me a little bit upset and a little bit emotional is that, you know, people, like guys, didn't want to hang out with me, be with me romantically, physically, sexually, emotionally before I had surgery. And now, after I've had the surgery, for some reason the guys that I'm finding don't want to associate with me because they're hoping that I had a different body part, because they want to use me or another trans girl, another pre-op trans girl, as like sort of a gateway, because, you know, they don't want to, you know, have sex with the guy straight on, so they're going to try to get the best of both worlds. I've literally had guys tell me that they want the best of both worlds, but I really genuinely thought that I wasn't going to deal with this after I transitioned. Obviously I was going to deal with some people who, you know, want to experience the best of both worlds and no longer can with me. So, you know, moral of the story is things happen, and not all trans girls have the same body part. Not all trans girls are pre-op, not all trans girls are post-op. Like, duh, stupid bitch. It's just so funny to look back on, and I laugh about it with my friends to this day. It's so funny to me. Like, I was honestly flabbergasted. Yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I really hope you all enjoyed this juicy story time. I really hope I did it justice. I really hope you enjoyed my reenactment on the bed of that juicy scene. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to smash the like button down below with the big red subscribe button. We are, I think, less than 60 subscribers away from 1,000, guys. I am so grateful for you all, and if we could reach 1,000 by the end of April, I will literally cry. Like, I will literally burst into tears. I'm a super emotional person. I am going to stick to my word. All of my social medias are always in the description: Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. If you ever want to DM me on any of those to just chat, send me a video suggestion, they're always down there for you to check out. That is it for today's video. I really hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you. Bye. Oh, look at the body. Look at the body. She's giving blood.